One of the biggest stories ahead of the 2003 to 2004 season revolved around Manchester United's new number 7. David Beckham, the club's poster boy for much of the Premier League era, was sold to Real Madrid for £24.5 million. In his place came Cristiano Ronaldo, a tricky 18-year-old winger tipped to become a star of the game. The former Sporting player made his Manchester United debut in a 4-0 win over Bolton, coming on as a 61st-minute substitute for Nicky Butt. The £12 million man's early performances drew high praise, leading to comparisons with Old Trafford icon George Best. As Cristiano Ronaldo adjusted to life at a new club, so too did a flurry of additions at Chelsea. Backed by new billionaire owner Roman Abramovich, the Blues spent a staggering £111 million on Damien Duff, Hernan Crespo, Claude Makelele, Adrian Mutu, Juan Sebastian Veron, Jeremy, Wayne Bridge, Joe Cole, Glenn Johnson, Alexi Smirtin, and Neil Sullivan. Claudio Ranieri's expensively assembled squad won 6 of their first 7 league games, including a 2-1 opening weekend victory at Liverpool. In September, Chelsea's title rivals Manchester United and Arsenal faced off in an ill-tempered goalless draw at Old Trafford. Patrick Vieira received a second yellow card after kicking out at Ruud van Nistelrooy in the 81st minute. The Manchester United striker stepped backwards despite no contact being made, and Arsenal's players accused him of getting their captain sent off. Tensions flared again in stoppage time when Diego Forlan went down under the challenge of Martin Keown. Van Nistelrooy, usually clinical from the spot, thundered the resulting penalty against the bar. Seconds later, an animated Keown clubbed the Dutchman on the back of the neck with his left forearm as he leaped around wildly while celebrating the miss. The following week, Van Nistelrooy scored a hat-trick in a 4-1 win over Leicester to ensure Manchester United kept pace with table-topping Arsenal. Chelsea, in third, were living up to the pre-season hype, while Harry Redknapp's newly promoted Portsmouth defied expectations with impressive wins over Aston Villa and Bolton. The other promoted sides, Leicester and Wolves, only picked up 5 points from their first 8 games. Elsewhere, Aston Villa had a tricky start under new boss David O'Leary. David Pleat became caretaker manager at Tottenham after Glenn Hoddle's sacking, and 4-0 losses against Everton and Leicester summed up Leeds' dismal start to the campaign. As winter approached, Leeds' results got even worse. The financially stricken club sacked manager Peter Reid after a run of 7 losses in 8 league games, with the final straw being a 6-1 thumping at Portsmouth. Leeds legend Eddie Gray replaced Reid and finally got the Yorkshire side back to winning ways with a 1-0 victory at Charlton. The win kick-started a 5-game unbeaten league run, giving fans hope of survival. In October, Arsenal beat Chelsea 2-1 to inflict a first league defeat of the season on Claudio Ranieri's men. With 15 minutes to go, goalkeeper Carlo Cudicini allowed Robert Pires's cross to squirm under his body, and Thierry Henry was there to knock the ball into an empty net. Chelsea won 5 consecutive league games after the setback, including a 5-0 victory over Newcastle and a 1-0 triumph over Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson's side quickly recovered too, with Diego Forlan and Ruud van Nistelrooy each scoring twice in a 4-0 win over Aston Villa. Manchester United stayed firmly in the title race thanks to a 6-game winning run, but all was not well off the pitch. Rio Ferdinand received an 8-month ban and £50,000 fine after being found guilty of missing a drugs test. It is a particularly savage and unprecedented sentence, which makes an appeal inevitable, said Manchester United director Maurice Watkins. The Red Devils went ahead with an appeal, but it proved to be unsuccessful. Ferdinand's ban stood, meaning he also missed England's Euro 2004 campaign. By Christmas Day, Manchester United occupied first place after 3 draws in 4 games, saw Arsenal surrender top spot. Southampton and Fulham were 2 of the season's surprise packages, while a run of 11 points from 10 games ended Liverpool's slim title hopes. Portsmouth slipped into the relegation zone with Leeds and Wolves after struggling to build on their promising start. The rest of the bottom half were also looking over their shoulders, with Premier League mainstays Everton, Aston Villa and Tottenham among those hoping to steer clear of relegation trouble. Strengthened by the £10.5 million signing of José Antonio Reyes from Sevilla, Arsenal looked unstoppable after Christmas. Arsene Wenger's side won 9 games in a row between January and March, a run that featured a statement-making 2-1 victory over title rivals Chelsea. Claudio Ranieri's Blues won 10 league games out of 14 after Christmas, but a damaging 4-2 defeat at Charlton and a 1-0 home loss to Liverpool dented their title chances. It was a similar story for Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson's men lost top spot to Arsenal after losing 1-0 at Wolves, and they had already slipped to third by the time Manchester City hammered their neighbours 4-1 at the City of Manchester Stadium in March. Further down the table, Graham Souness's Blackburn travelled to Alan Kirbishley's Charlton, looking to move away from relegation trouble. Carlton Cole, on loan from Chelsea, put Charlton ahead after 10 minutes before Jason Ewell scored in the 36th minute to double the Addicks' lead. Half-time substitute Andy Cole pulled a goal back for Blackburn with 16 minutes to go, meaning it was all to play for in the closing stages. As stoppage time neared, Paul Gallagher drilled the ball across goal after Charlton failed to clear a Brett Emerton corner. Brad Friedel, Blackburn's goalkeeper, went up for the set-piece and grabbed an unlikely equaliser with a left-footed effort into the bottom corner. Blackburn's fans and players celebrated the late leveller, but they needn't have bothered. 3 minutes later, Klaus Jensen spoiled the party with an added-time winner to secure the points for Charlton. By the end of March, Arsenal were in pole position to win the title. With 8 games to play, there was even talk of the Gunners going the entire season undefeated. Manchester United looked out of the title picture, while Liverpool and Newcastle moved into Champions League contention after underwhelming starts to the campaign. In managerial news, Southampton had a change in the dugout, with Paul Sturrock taking over after Gordon Strachan resigned. Elsewhere, Portsmouth moved out of the bottom 3 after beating Blackburn and Southampton to secure back-to-back Premier League wins for the first time. While 18th-placed Leicester still had hopes of survival, Leeds and Wolves looked destined for the drop. Away from the Premier League, Arsenal's treble dreams ended in the first week of April. The Gunners lost 1-0 in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United at Villa Park before Chelsea knocked the title favourites out of the Champions League with a 3-2 aggregate win in the quarter-finals. The defeats would have shattered some teams' confidence, but not Arsene Wenger's league leaders. Thierry Henry responded with a hat-trick in a 4-2 victory over Liverpool and 4 goals in a 5-0 hammering of Leeds to maintain Arsenal's Premier League unbeaten record. Chelsea and Manchester United both lost 2 league games in the same period, meaning Arsenal could wrap up the title if they avoided defeat at White Hart Lane, the home of their North London rivals Tottenham. Gunners captain Patrick Vieira scored after 3 minutes before Robert Pires added another in the 35th minute. Jamie Redknapp made the score 2-1 in the 62nd minute before a Robbie Keane penalty in stoppage time earned Tottenham a 2-2 draw. The end result mattered not to Arsenal, who followed up their 2001-2002 Premier League triumph at Old Trafford by winning the 2003-2004 title on a rival's turf yet again. As for the relegation battle, the bottom 3 places were already confirmed with 2 games to spare. Portsmouth striker Yakubu hit top form between March and May to help Harry Redknapp's men to an 8-game unbeaten run, which included a vital 2-1 victory over Leeds at Elland Road. At the start of May, Leicester's relegation was confirmed with a 2-2 draw at Charlton. On the same weekend, Wolves' survival hopes ended despite winning 2-1 against Everton, while Leeds' 12-year Premier League stay was over after a 4-1 defeat at Bolton. Technically, Wolves and Leeds could have stayed up if 35-plus goal swings occurred in the last two games. Unsurprisingly, that did not happen, and both teams went down. With 4 games to go, Arsenal's story wasn't over yet. The champions drew 0-0 at home to Birmingham and 1-1 at Portsmouth before Jose Antonio Reyes' goal secured a narrow 1-0 win over Fulham at Loftus Road. That meant Arsenal only had to avoid defeat against relegated Leicester to go the entire league season unbeaten. The afternoon got off to a bad start, with former gunner Paul Dickov giving Leicester a half-time lead. Thierry Henry equalised 2 minutes into the second half before Patrick Vieira scored in the 66th minute to wrap up a 2-1 win. In doing so, Arsene Wenger's side became the first English top-flight team since Preston North End in 1888 to 1889 to go through an entire league season without losing. The final league table confirmed Leicester, Leeds and Wolves' relegations to the newly named Championship, while Portsmouth finished 13th thanks to their impressive late-season form. In the top half, Liverpool beat Newcastle to the 4th Champions League place. FA Cup winners Manchester United finished the season with their joint lowest Premier League points tally, and Chelsea sacked Claudio Ranieri after Roman Abramovich's first year as owner ended without silverware. In the end, 2003 to 2004 was all about Arsenal. Won 26, drawn 12, lost none. Arsene Wenger's men were simply invincible. Click the link on screen for the story of Arsenal's first Premier League title win, featuring Dennis Bergkamp, Mark Overmars, and the inspirational Tony Adams.